Are you thinking about making a move to the Midwest and you want to know how the different cities stack up? Or maybe you live in a rural area but you dream of life in the city. Or perhaps you already live in a Midwest city and you just want to know how it compares. If so, stick around. Welcome to Stuck in the Cornfield, where we explore Illinois and the Midwest. Everyone has heard how Chicago is allegedly a terrible city, so we've been doing a series on this channel where we see how Chicago stacks up against other Midwestern cities and determine which one is actually worse. In today's video, we're going to compare Chicago to Kansas City, Missouri to see how the two cities rank in terms of job prospects, cost of living, diversity, weather, and a few other categories. So let's dig in. First off, demographics. Chicago is the most populous city in the state of Illinois, by a landslide, and the third most populous city in the country, with a population of 2.7 million. They have a racial makeup that is 32.8% white, 30.1% black, 6.4% Asian, and 29% Hispanic. 20.6% of the population is foreign-born, and the median age for Chicagoans is 34.9. Kansas City is the most populous city in the state of Missouri and the 38th largest city in the U.S., with a population of 491,809. So while still a rather large city, it is significantly smaller than Chicago. The racial makeup in Kansas City is 55.1% white, 29% black, 10.2% Hispanic, and 2.7% Asian, and foreign-born residents account for 7.7% of the population, so both cities are diverse, but Chicago has considerably more immigrants and minorities. The average age in Kansas City is 35.2, so Chicago also has a slightly younger population. The 5 most common jobs in Kansas City are management, elementary and middle school teacher, nurse, retail sales supervisor, and truck driver. Chicago's 5 most common jobs also include management, elementary and middle school teacher, and truck driver, but the remaining 2 are cashier and customer service rep. The median household income for Kansas City workers is $54,372, compared to the median household income in Chicago of $57,238, so the Windy City has a higher income. But they have a 19.5% poverty rate, and Kansas City has a rate of 16.5%, so they lose points for that. Chicago also gets dinged on the unemployment rate. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shows a 10.5% unemployment rate for the most recent data reported. Kansas City, in comparison, shows a 4.9% unemployment rate. In addition, the average commute time in Kansas City is 21.2 minutes, while in Chicago it is a 35-minute commute. This means that Chicagoans are wasting over 2 more hours each week than Kansas City residents, so I'm going to say that Chicago fares worse in the jobs category. Everyone has heard the politicians talk about how dangerous Chicago is, but there are several cities in the Midwest that have a crime problem, so let's see how Kansas City compares to Chicago in this category. The last data reported by the FBI lists 7,099 violent crimes and 19,124 property crimes in Kansas City. Chicago had 25,532 violent crimes and 80,742 property crimes. That's a lot, but Chicago has significantly more people, so let's see how this pans out. In Kansas City, the violent crime rate is 277% above the national average, and the chance of being the victim of a crime is 1 in 19, so it is safer than only 2% of U.S. cities. The violent crime rate in Chicago is 149% above the national average, and the chance of being the victim of a crime is 1 in 22. Chicago is safer than 5% of U.S. cities. Based on these stats, Kansas City has a worse crime problem than Chicago. Kansas City has a cost of living that is 6% below the national average. Housing costs are 22% below the national average. According to Zillow, the average home price is $173,342. That's well below the national average of $259,906. Lower home prices make ownership more attainable, so 53.7% of the homes are occupied by the homeowner. Those who rent pay an average of $899. Chicago, on the other hand, has a cost of living that is 10% above the national average. Housing costs are 17% above the national average, with a median home price of $278,816, which is higher than both the national average and the Illinois average of $215,891. Due to the higher costs associated with owning a home, only 44.1% of the homes are occupied by the owner. The 55.9% who rent pay an average of $1,077. It's pretty obvious that Kansas City is by far the more affordable of the two cities. An additional piece of the puzzle that determines how much money you get to keep in your pocket is taxes, so let's see how much each city charges its residents. The minimum combined 2020 sales tax rate for Kansas City, Missouri is 8.61%. This is the total of state, county, and city sales tax rates. The Missouri sales tax rate is currently 4.23%. The Jackson County sales tax rate is listed as 1.25%, but according to the chart on the Missouri Department of Revenue's website, there are actually multiple county sales tax amounts, depending on the district within the county, so it ranges from 5.6% to 6.6%. The Kansas City sales tax rate is 3%. Chicago, on the other hand, has a sales tax of 10.25%. That's a total of the 6.95% state tax, the City of Chicago tax of 1.25%, and the Cook County tax of 1.75%, with an additional 1% tax to fund the Transit Authority on for good measure. They want to make sure they cover all the bases when it comes to taking money from their citizens and visitors. Then there are the property taxes. The state of Missouri is middle of the road on property taxes with a rate of 0.91%, but where the home resides within the state determines the tax rate assessment. Most of Kansas City is in Jackson County, which has a tax of 1.38%, but some parts of the city spill over into Cass County, which has a rate of 1.07%, Clay County with a rate of 1.35%, and Platte County with a 1.28% rate. Now, let's look at Chicago. The state of Illinois has the second highest property tax in the nation at 2.31%. According to the Cook County Clerk's Office website, the tax rate within the city of Chicago is 6.89%. So Chicago has a higher sales tax and property taxes. When looking for a home, one consideration, if you have children or plan to in the future, is how the schools perform. Chicago's schools have a student-to-teacher ratio of 21:1. Kansas City has a student-to-teacher ratio of 15:1. The test scores in Chicago are 52% below the national average, and 84.5% of residents over the age of 25 have a high school diploma. Kansas City test scores are 13% below the national average, which, while not great, is still better than Chicago. 89.6% of Kansas City residents over the age of 25 have completed high school, so they have a higher percentage of high school graduates, better test scores, and a better student-to-teacher ratio. One possible reason that is often cited for why people leave Illinois is the weather, so let's see if Chicago's weather is better or worse than Kansas City. Chicago has a climate that is classified as hot summer humid continental climate. They experience all 4 seasons, however, fall and spring tend to be short compared to summer and winter. The average temperature in July is 76 degrees, and in January it is 26 degrees. The rainiest month on average is August, when they receive around 5.1 inches of rainfall. They get an average of 26 days of snow each year, with most of that in December and January, for an average of 27.8 inches per year. Kansas City has a humid subtropical climate. The average temperature in July is 81 degrees, and in January, the daily average temperature is 32 degrees, so Kansas City is warmer than Chicago. The rainiest month in Kansas City is June, with 5.6 inches of rainfall. They have an average snowfall of 14.5 inches each year, so Chicago gets more snow, while Kansas City has higher average temperatures. This category really comes down to personal preference when trying to decide which is better or worse. According to the American Lung Association's State of the Air report, Kansas City is graded at a B. The air quality index in Kansas City is 5% better than the national average, and the pollution index in Kansas City is 77% better than the national average. They show that Kansas City has been improving their pollution numbers since the Lung Association issued their first State of the Air report 2 decades ago. Chicago, however, gets graded at an F. The air quality index in Chicago is 11% worse than the national average, and the pollution index in Chicago is 1,484% worse than the national average. Chicago, which is ranked the 18th worst city in terms of ozone pollution, has air quality that is definitely worse than Kansas City, which is ranked at 46th. Contributing to the pollution problem is traffic. If you live in a big city, you know that where there are large amounts of people, you're going to have traffic. It's just part of the deal. The Chicagoland area has 11 interstate and auxiliary interstate highways. Kansas City has 7 interstate and auxiliary highways, so they have fewer highways, but they also have a population that is significantly smaller than that of Chicago, so let's look at how the population is dispersed. There are 11,938 people per square mile in Chicago. In Kansas City, the population density is 1,498 people per square mile, so Chicago has more highway traffic and more people jammed into each mile of space, making it way more congested than Kansas City. Sports teams give their city's residents something to root for, as well as a source of income and jobs for the city, so it can be important for some people that they live somewhere that has at least one team. With that in mind, let's take a look at what the two cities offer. Kansas City is home to a variety of professional sports teams. They have the Chiefs football team and Kansas City Blues RFC rugby team. For baseball, they have the Royals in the American League Division of Major League Baseball and the Kansas City T-Bones in the American Association of Independent Professional Baseball. Soccer is represented by Sporting Kansas City and their reserve team, Swope Park Rangers. They also have a hockey team, the Kansas City Mavericks. Chicago also has a football team, the Bears, and a hockey team, the Blackhawks. They have 2 teams representing the 2 Major League Baseball divisions, the Cubs and the White Sox. They do not have a rugby team, but they are represented in soccer by the Chicago Fire FC. Neither city has NASCAR within their city limits, but both have a track within driving distance. There's the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, and the Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. In addition to the previously mentioned sports, Chicago also has a basketball team, the Bulls, so I'm going to say that the Windy City has a slight edge over Kansas City in this category. Chicago is ranked worse when it comes to jobs, cost of living, taxes, schools, traffic, and pollution. Kansas City is worse in crime and sports. Based on this information, I would have to say that Chicago is worse than Kansas City overall. Leave a comment letting me know if you agree or disagree with this assessment. I know a lot of Chicagoans love their city, but I never hear anything about people loving Kansas City. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it more than you know. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And until next time, I remain stuck in the cornfield.